Well, good day, guys, and a hearty welcome from Cape Town. We'll have a look at the Alfa Romeo Giulietta Spider from Italeri. Now, this is actually something which I don't do very often. This is a fairly new kit. This is a fairly, well, the kit itself is from '95, but the repop, which I'm holding here in my hands, that's from this year. So that's a fairly new edition brought out by Italeri of the Alfa Romeo Giulietta Spider 1300, and just look at it. Isn't it a beautiful, beautiful car? Well, I think it is. I like it. I think these were the days when cars were still pure in design. A lovely, lovely car. Let's have a look quickly what the side of the box tells you what the decals look like and gives it to you in a baby blue color. It doesn't look bad either. Here it gives you the measurements, 162 millimeters, and here it gives you a brief description and also what it can look like should you decide to build it. Italeri obviously always gets a bad rap about their kits. I built an Escort the other day. I've had worse in my life. It wasn't great, but it wasn't unbuildable. And now we're having this. Right, let's have a quick look at the instructions, shall we? We'll have a look at the decals just now. Gives you a nice idea what should be on the sprues, so you can check if you have everything. Right over there. Then the normal instructions how to build the beautiful little Alfa engine. And Alfa engines, they were in those days, they weren't part of Fiat. They were their own thing. And there are also some springs in there. There we go. There you can see it. Very interesting. So you obviously build that up with the suspension. Here you go. Here you can see where the springs are used. This is for the front A-arms. Wow. There we go. And then they also have some for the rear suspension. There we go. So that's a car with a working suspension. That's very interesting. Otherwise, looks like a detailed enough instruction sheet. All good and well. And here at the back it gives you an idea how you can finish it up, either in the famous Italian red, or in light blue, or in any other color you like. It's a nice thing if you are a car builder and not a tank or aircraft builder from World War II. You can make it in any color, or you can go onto the internet and find out what colors they were offered at the time. And have a quick look at the decals right over here. You have number plates, Italian number plates from Bologna. You have decals for the stiff cheek. You have a different small kind of decals which you can use. Hopefully some for the dashboard as well. I'm not too sure about that. Even have the plate, the engine plates right over here, and the chassis plate. So that's for a car like this, I think that's a good enough decal sheet. And one can say about Italeri whatever you want. They make a decent decals, that's for sure. Let's have a quick look at the tires. Right, you will see them right over here. They are non-branded tires. They're actually, the tread actually looks pretty nice. They have quite a prominent seam in the middle of the tires, so this will take some careful cleaning up without destroying the entire tread on the tires. So that's what you will have to do. 4 of those. We have them right over here. And this is the glass. I'm not going to take that out here. I'm not even going to open that. It feels fairly thick compared to other modern glass which I have touched before. It's not the thinnest of glass, and you see it also has a frame on the front glass which obviously you will have to paint up in whatever color, probably chrome, in order to have your chrome frame around the front windscreen. There you are. That would be that. Then we have the chrome, which is right over here. Let's take it out of the bag. You have the wheels, which, as they are with most cars, are just way too sharp. So you will probably have to turn it down a bit. You have the bumperettes right over here. You have wheel covers. You have the famous front Alfa emblem. The bumpers, wipers, usual handles. I see a mirror over there. So the usual stuff which you get on a chrome tree on a car of this class and vintage for most. Doesn't look horribly thick. Looks usable. Looks usable. Then let's have a look at the plastic, and as it is with Italeri, it's multicolored. And we'll start with the black plastic, which is right over here, so we can get an idea of the quality of the molding. See, always very interesting. There's the engine and the smaller parts, and you can see it doesn't look too bad. It's a typical Italeri black plastic, which you all know is fairly hard. It's not the soft grey plastic which we find, for example, with Möbius kits. But I've worked Italeri kits before, and it's workable, and especially if it looks as clean as this one does. And let's have a look at the detail right over here. I mean, there's very little flash, a little bit, obviously it's always cleaning up to do. But there's nothing too bad whatsoever. Then there's another one of the black ones which has the pan attached to it. Let's have a look at the bottom of the pan. That looks very simple. Not too much detail on there. And we have, let's have a look at the steering wheel, typical Alfa steering wheel. Because you can make that wood grain. Come on, it has to be wood grain. An Alfa of the 50s has to be wood grain. The dashboard looks very simple, but they weren't very complicated in those days. They were simple dashboards. That's an interesting construction. Obviously the dashboard goes in there and then becomes the firewall as well. Here we have one of the seats which look actually nice and detailed. Otherwise, one on this side, oil pan, and bottom right over here there's the exhaust, and there are the side covers. Now that's very simple. In most kits you at least get a little bit of structure there, and I'm sure it didn't look as straight as that. There certainly was some material in there. So that looks very, very plain, I would like to say. And I've seen that different with other kits. I would love to have it different, so I will probably need to make my own structure there. See how I do that. So that's the black plastic, and then obviously you'll have some red plastic as well. With this one you have everything extra. You have the baggage lid or the hood right over here. You have the doors, and you have the lid for the engine compartment or the bonnet right over here. And I guess if you're really lazy and you really don't want to paint, you could possibly thinking of polishing that out. Haven't seen any horrible squirrel on that. I will prime it and paint it. Here we go. There's the body. Straight enough. There's no wobbling here. Has the usual smallish grays on them, so you will obviously have to sand it. If you plan to leave the chassis or the color like this without painting it, there will be a fair amount of polishing needed to be done before you can go and clear coat it. But otherwise it looks fine. Here we go. And these are all the parts of that Alfa, so it's not a very parts intensive kit, if I can say that. It is, as far as the building is concerned, not too complex a kit. Fairly easy to build, I would imagine. Parts look clean. The plastic is the harder plastic of Italeri. That's just what you expect and get from Italeri if you buy an Italeri kit. So that's just one of those things. But the subject matter for me was here the point. I love this little Spider. I always have a weak spot for Alfas. You know, they might not be always the most reliable cars, but they're certainly beautiful cars. And this one is no exception. So here you had a quick insight into the Giulietta Spider 1300 from Italeri, a kit which was repopped this year, originally from 1995, and looking at the plastic parts, still appears to be in very good condition, those forms, and the sprues looked very decent, as did the decals and the instruction. So I think this can be a lot of fun to build. Thanks very much for watching, and I wish you all a great time. Cheers.